Power, my friend, is not always seized through command. The most cunning minds in history, kings, generals, and manipulators, knew a truth few dare to speak aloud. People resist control when they see it coming. The moment they feel your hand upon the strings, they cut them. But when you appear to have no interest in control, when you seem indifferent, disinterested, even powerless, that's when they lean closer. They want to convince you, to win you over, to influence you, and that is when the trap quietly closes. The mask of resistance is the first law of reverse psychology, a strategy born from the shadows of human pride. Machiavelli himself would say, "Men are driven more by appearance than by reality. They see what you seem to be, not what you are. If you seem stubborn, detached, or immune to persuasion, you awaken their ego." And the human ego, once provoked, does your work for you. Consider this: when you tell someone directly what you want, they feel the weight of your desire, they sense your motive, and instantly the defensive walls rise. But when you appear not to want it, when you subtly push away what you truly seek, they begin to chase it themselves. They become the hunter, and you, the prey who secretly controls the game. Reverse psychology is not about words, it's about energy. The tone you use, the pauses you take, the look of calm refusal. Imagine someone begging for your attention. Instead of feeding their need, you step back, you seem unimpressed. The more they reach, the more you withhold. Suddenly, your value multiplies. They begin to wonder what they did wrong, what they're missing, and how they can regain your favor. You've made them addicted to your indifference. That is power concealed behind the mask of resistance. Throughout history, this tactic has ruled empires and seduced nations. The Roman Senate once resisted Julius Caesar's reforms, mocking his restraint. They believed his hesitation was weakness, but Caesar was calculating. He let their arrogance grow until they overplayed their hand. When he finally acted, they were too entangled in their own pride to resist him. He appeared powerless until he wasn't. In personal life, this tactic is equally lethal. Think of the relationships you've had, romantic, social, or professional. The moment you showed too much need, too much effort, the balance shifted. But when you withdrew, when you became calm, distant, almost untouchable, suddenly they came closer. They wanted to understand you, to pull you back. Your silence made more noise than your words ever could. Humans are slaves to their need for validation. When you deny them that, they dance harder for it. This is the psychology of absence, the same force that turns rejection into obsession and resistance into desire. The art lies in how you project it, not with arrogance, but with poise, not with coldness, but with quiet certainty. When you say no, do it softly. When you refuse, do it gracefully. Let them feel that your approval is rare, your attention sacred. Soon they will compete to earn it. Machiavelli would whisper, "It is better to be desired for your indifference than forgotten for your pursuit." The power of reverse psychology begins with this illusion, the illusion that you cannot be influenced. Once people believe they cannot change your mind, they start trying to prove you wrong. They will make the argument for you. They will persuade themselves into doing exactly what you wanted from the beginning. You see, the mask of resistance isn't about deception. It's about direction. You are not lying to them. You are guiding them to believe that the path you want is their own discovery. They will defend their choice because they think it was made freely. That is why the illusion must be perfect. Never let your eagerness show. Never reveal how badly you want an outcome. Even in victory, appear unmoved. Indifference is the final act of control. The power lies in patience. Do not chase, do not explain, do not convince. When you resist, you transform your weakness into a weapon. Every denial becomes an invitation, every silence a command. You must master the subtle balance between distance and presence, close enough to be desired, far enough to be unattainable. Reverse psychology begins here, behind this mask. It is not manipulation for cruelty, but strategy for control, to influence those who think themselves immune to influence. When you wear this mask long enough, the world begins to bend toward your stillness. People will misread your quiet as mystery, your hesitation as confidence, your refusal as challenge. And once they start chasing your approval, once they start proving you wrong, you have already won. Power, at its purest form, is never taken by force. It's given through the illusion of choice. To command without resistance, one must learn to turn desire into obedience. And no one understood this better than Niccolò Machiavelli. He saw the mind of man as a battlefield where vanity and pride were the most predictable soldiers. If you want someone to act according to your will, never confront their ego directly. Instead, guide it, feed it, until it leads them where you want them to go. This is the essence of reverse psychology. You don't tell people what to do. You tell them what not to do. And in their desperate attempt to assert their freedom, they do exactly what you wanted. The human mind is wired to rebel against command, but addicted to the taste of defiance. The Machiavellian manipulator uses that rebellion as a weapon. He doesn't fight it, he provokes it. Picture this: you tell a proud man, "I don't think you're capable of achieving this." His pride burns. His ego ignites, and before you know it, he's chasing the very goal you set for him, determined to prove you wrong. You never had to order him. You merely planted the seed of challenge. His obedience is disguised as defiance. That is the art of reversal. Machiavelli would say that the strongest chains are the ones we choose to wear. When a person believes they're acting out of free will, they defend their actions fiercely, even if those actions serve your purpose. You don't need to impose control, you only need to make them believe they're in control. Once their pride takes the lead, their reason follows behind, blind and loyal. In politics, this art has ruled nations. When leaders appear reluctant, when they pretend to resist power or seem hesitant to accept authority, people trust them more. The crowd believes he doesn't crave power, he deserves it. Caesar once refused the crown 3 times before accepting it. Each refusal deepened his aura, made the people beg for his rule. What seemed like humility was calculated desire. That is the reversal, appearing to reject what you secretly crave until others place it in your hands willingly. In human relationships, the same law operates. When you show too much desire, you suffocate it. When you hold back, you ignite it. People are drawn to what resists them. They chase what seems unattainable. It's not attraction, it's ego in motion. Tell someone they cannot have your time, your attention, your approval, and suddenly those things gain immense value. Denial becomes desire, distance becomes magnetism. Reverse psychology is the manipulation of that natural tension. It's not about lies, it's about precision. You give people the illusion of rebellion while quietly directing their rebellion toward your design. You're not stopping their will, you're rerouting it. Like water flowing downhill, human pride always seeks the path of least resistance, and that path can be shaped by your silence, your tone, your subtle disapproval. When you tell someone, "I don't want you to worry about this," they worry more. When you say, "Don't think about it," their mind clings tighter. The forbidden thought grows stronger, precisely because it was forbidden. This is the paradox of command. Resistance amplifies attention. The more you forbid, the more they focus. The more you dismiss, the more they crave. The wise manipulator uses this paradox to his advantage. He speaks in reversals, not orders. Machiavelli warned that people are slaves to appearances and emotion. To move them, appeal not to logic but to their pride. Let them think they are opposing you when they are, in truth, aligning with you. If they feel they are winning the argument, you have already won the mind. The true master never argues to convince. He argues to provoke reaction. Every no he gives is a hidden yes in disguise. You see this even in negotiation. The skilled player does not demand the deal. He hesitates, he doubts, he withdraws. The other party, fearing loss, pushes harder to persuade him. They lower their guard, reveal their needs, and make concessions. The manipulator's silence becomes bait. The more he resists, the more others submit. Reverse psychology transforms hesitation into power. The secret lies in how you deliver your resistance. It must not feel manipulative. It must feel natural. Speak as if you are protecting them, as if you have no hidden motive. Let your words carry care, not command. You wouldn't want to waste your energy on that. You might say, and they'll respond, "I'll prove you wrong." Their defiance becomes your silent victory. The art of reversal works because humans crave autonomy. They need to believe their choices are theirs alone. By reversing your expression of desire, by appearing to resist what you want, you hand them the illusion of independence. And with that illusion, they become predictable. They fight not against you, but for your goal. They walk straight into your strategy, proud of their freedom. Machiavelli's mind thrived on this paradox. He knew that to conquer the proud, one must flatter their defiance. To command the free, one must offer them a choice that leads only to one destination, the one you have already chosen. Reverse psychology is not a game of deception. It's a game of direction. You lead people to the edge and let their pride push them forward. Those who master the art of reversal never shout, never chase, never argue. They make others move first. They provoke through doubt, inspire through dismissal, and rule through resistance. The greatest power is not to make others obey you, but to make them want to disobey you in your favor. The most dangerous mistake in influence is to reveal your mind too soon. The instant people see your intent, they begin to guard themselves. They analyze your tone, your words, your posture, and the moment they sense manipulation, the spell is broken. But the Machiavellian mind understands something deeper. The most effective form of control is reflection. You don't fight people's emotions, you mirror them. You don't resist their thoughts, you reflect them back. When you become the mirror, you cease to be seen as the manipulator. You become their ally, their confidant, their reflection of truth. Machiavelli understood that people do not seek reality. They seek affirmation. They crave to see themselves in others, to hear their opinions echoed back. The mirror becomes their comfort, their validation, their invisible leash. To master reverse psychology, you must learn to reflect their desires, not reveal your own. When they speak, you listen, not to agree, but to understand how their mind moves. When they react, you mirror that reaction just enough for them to feel seen. Once they trust that reflection, you can gently bend it toward your will. Imagine you're facing an opponent who believes they are in control, confident in their logic. If you argue, they will resist. But if you reflect their argument, even partially, if you nod, repeat their points, make them feel wise, they lower their guard, they stop defending and start opening up. Once they trust your reflection, they begin to share more, reveal more, expose the very weaknesses they would have otherwise hidden. It's not deception, it's redirection. By reflecting, you let their mind become the architect of its own downfall. This is the mirror of manipulation, to guide without appearing to guide, to influence without revealing influence. When someone is angry, you don't meet anger with anger, you absorb it, reflect it, and show calm understanding. Their rage finds no resistance, no fuel, and it burns itself out. When someone seeks validation, you reflect their worth, their intelligence, their uniqueness. Soon, they start to depend on your reflection to define themselves. They feel seen, and in that feeling, they surrender. Psychologically, humans crave recognition. To be understood is to be controlled. The moment someone believes you get them, they stop questioning your motives. They begin to feel safe in your presence, and safety breeds influence. Machiavelli might whisper that men are not loyal to truth. They are loyal to those who reflect their truth back to them. When you master this reflection, you can make even your enemies believe you are their mirror, their confidant, their perfect ally. There is a subtle dance in how you mirror. It must be delicate, not obvious. If you copy too much, you appear insincere. But if you reflect with prestige, echoing their tone, repeating their keywords, aligning your energy to theirs, you enter their psychological rhythm. You move as they move. You think as they think, and once their guard is down, you can shift the reflection just slightly, turning it toward your goal. They will follow, unaware that the direction has changed. In the courts of Renaissance Italy, this was the language of survival. The most powerful courtiers never spoke against their masters. They listened, they reflected. They gave back to the prince his own ideas, slightly refined, more elegant, more strategic. And when the prince acted upon them, he believed they were his. The mirror's power lies in this illusion, that others see themselves in you. You disappear behind their reflection, while your influence grows invisible roots beneath their thoughts. In relationships, this mirror can be both a shield and a sword. When you stop reacting to others' emotions and begin reflecting them calmly, you seize control of the emotional tempo. If they are angry, you acknowledge their feeling, but remain unshaken. They expect opposition, but find understanding instead. Their fury has nowhere to land, and slowly they surrender. Reflection neutralizes conflict because no one can fight their own reflection, but the mirror also seduces. When you mirror someone's gestures, their tone, their energy, their beliefs, you make them feel harmony. You become the person who understands them better than anyone else. In that moment, they feel connected to you, and connection breeds compliance. They will start to agree with you, follow your lead, and defend you, all while believing they are acting freely. This is not domination through force. It is manipulation through resonance. Machiavelli believed that men are predictable not because they are foolish, but because they are consistent in their needs. They crave affirmation more than truth, validation more than correction. The manipulator uses this need like a weapon sheathed in empathy. When others speak, he listens deeply. When they reveal weakness, he reflects understanding, never judgment, and slowly the power dynamic reverses. The one who speaks becomes dependent on the one who listens. When you master the mirror, your silence becomes the loudest voice in the room. You don't need to persuade. You don't need to command. You let others persuade themselves in your direction. The mirror makes them believe you share their vision, their passion, their struggle, and in doing so, they give you their trust, the most powerful currency in human interaction. To reflect rather than react is the most subtle form of psychological dominance. Reaction exposes emotion, reflection hides it. Reaction reveals motive, reflection conceals it. When you reflect, you become unreadable, untouchable, and yet irresistibly influential. People will come to you for validation, for agreement, for comfort, and in doing so, they unknowingly hand you their perception. The mirror shapes their reality, and whoever shapes perception rules it. The greatest form of power is not to command, but to convince others that they are free while they obey. When people feel forced, they resist. When they believe they've chosen, they commit. This is the final level of psychological mastery, the illusion of freedom. Machiavelli understood that human beings crave autonomy as much as they crave approval. The trick is not to take that freedom away, but to reshape it so that every road they travel still leads to your desired destination. Think of it as a game where you never need to push anyone, You simply design the board. You define the limits of choice, the boundaries of perception. Within those invisible walls, people act, rebel, and decide, all while believing it was their own will guiding them. That belief is your true instrument of control. The invisible chain is always stronger than the visible one because it doesn't provoke rebellion. It provokes loyalty. Machiavelli once wrote that men are easier to govern when they believe they are free. A ruler who tries to dominate openly creates enemies, but a ruler who gives people the illusion of control creates followers who defend him. The art of reverse psychology reaches its peak here, when your influence becomes indistinguishable from their own desire. You don't tell them what to do, you make them want to do it, and once they want it, they'll fight for it as if it were their own conviction. The illusion of freedom is not built through lies, but through direction. You offer choices that all serve your purpose. You present paths that lead in different directions, but end at the same place, your desired outcome. To the untrained mind, it feels like liberation, but to you, it's architecture. You've built the maze, you've hidden the walls. They move freely inside your design, unaware that their independence is your invention. In conversation, this tactic is subtle but devastatingly effective. When you want someone to agree with you, never demand it. Present two options, both leading where you want them to go. Ask, would you prefer we do it this way or that way? Either answer benefits you. They feel powerful because they chose, and in that feeling, their ego becomes your servant. The illusion of choice softens resistance and disarms pride. You've not forced their hand, you've guided it gently, invisibly. You can see this power everywhere, from politics to persuasion, from love to leadership. The most skillful manipulators don't shout, threaten, or impose. They simply offer a mirror of freedom. People follow because they believe they are the authors of their own story. Even when their lines were written long before they spoke them, consider how easily the illusion works in everyday life. When a person thinks an idea is theirs, they defend it to the death. If you suggest it outright, they'll doubt you. But if you guide them through questions, if you let them arrive at the thought themselves, they'll protect it as their own creation. Machiavelli's brilliance lay in this understanding. People do not resist what they believe they have discovered. You can lead them into a trap, and they will praise you for showing them the way. In relationships, this power is profound. The one who can make another person feel free while still shaping their decisions holds absolute control. When you give someone space to express, to decide, to act, you appear generous. But if that space is designed by you, it becomes a velvet cage. They move as they wish, but every move feeds your purpose. Their joy in their freedom blinds them to the quiet manipulation underneath. Machiavelli would remind us that appearance governs perception, and perception governs reality. To the crowd, the benevolent ruler who grants liberty seems kind. But the true Machiavellian knows that liberty, when guided, becomes the strongest weapon of control. When people think they are free, they stop questioning the source of their choices. They mistake permission for power. They confuse self-expression with sovereignty, and while they play at freedom, you remain the one who designed the stage. The illusion of freedom also works inwardly. To master others, you must first master yourself. The disciplined manipulator never lets his emotions betray his strategy. He allows himself to appear uncertain, flexible, open-minded, all traits that make others comfortable, all tools that lower their guard. But beneath that appearance lies precision, every move calculated, every concession deliberate. You give the illusion of yielding, but in truth you are directing. In war, the general who seems to retreat lures his enemy into the ambush. In love, the one who seems to surrender gains devotion. In politics, the leader who seems to compromise wins obedience. The illusion of freedom makes your power invisible, and invisible power is the hardest to challenge. It creates a sense of mutual benefit, a bond that feels voluntary, but behind that feeling lies the cold structure of manipulation, built brick by brick from ego, desire, and pride. People crave to be seen as independent thinkers, but true independence is rare. Most decisions are emotional, reactive, guided by unseen influences. The Machiavellian strategist does not fight this truth. He uses it. He crafts his words and actions not to dominate, but to guide emotions. He speaks less of control and more of choice, less of command and more of opportunity, and in doing so, he binds others through their own illusion of liberty. The mastery of this art is subtle, almost invisible. You do not appear as a ruler, but as a companion, a guide, a trusted mirror of reason. You let others feel their autonomy while gently steering the course. They think they are sailing by their own will, but you control the wind. This is not the tyranny of power, it is the elegance of influence, and once mastered, no resistance can truly rise against it. Power, in its highest form, is not about domination, it is about direction. The masters of human nature do not shout, they whisper. They do not force obedience, they inspire it. Through the art of reverse psychology, you learn to lead by appearing to follow, to command by seeming to yield, to control by letting others feel free. The true strategist never shows his hand. He lets others play the game he designed. Machiavelli's teachings are not about cruelty, but clarity, the understanding that human pride is both the weakness and the key. When you master the mask of resistance, the art of reversal, the mirror of manipulation, and the illusion of freedom, you no longer chase influence. It bends toward you naturally. Power hides behind the quiet mind, the unreactive face, and the carefully chosen word. When you learn to pull by pretending to push, to deny what you truly desire, to reflect rather than react, and to let others walk into your plan thinking it was their own, then, and only then, you have entered the mind of Machiavelli himself. Remember, the greatest control is not to dominate others, but to guide their will without them ever noticing. Play the game silently, win loudly, and let them believe it was their idea all along.